Hello everybody. Today I'm here comparing my hero concept for the Horned King in Disney Heroes Battle Mode to the brand new official look of him and his skills and friendships as well. So we'll be starting out looking at specifically how he was designed in terms of how he looks, his personality, and then like I said we'll be going through the skills and friendships as well. Not only the ones that show up in games, but in the game, but in my original concept, what I came up with for the skills and how they compare, or if my ideas are more interesting, or if I prefer how they ended up creating everything he did. And the main thing is that I also want to hear what you guys think. Could they have improved their design and maybe took some of the things that I did into what they did, or maybe mine is lacking in some ways and I can learn a thing or two from what ended up being made for the official one. But I'm starting out by just showing some images of the Horned King from official art from the movie. So getting a good look at his personality and how he was drawn. It's interesting because he's actually drawn pretty differently in a lot of different images. Some of the details, like the horns on the top, are sometimes round and sometimes jagged. His face is a little bit more wrinkly and angry, and sometimes a little less so. You know, the details change quite often, but the main stuff kind of remains. So looking at mine first, I've got the two hands up. I've got the rounded horns. I did not give him pupils, which I knew was not going to work out. Like, if it ever ended up, they would definitely have given him pupils. I knew that from the get-go. Somewhat less detailed face, and then the basic colors of his hood and I don't know what to call it, but like the fur collar. And not really anything else to note. Let's look at the official one now. The face is a lot more detailed and wrinkly. Like I said, he's got the pupils there. The horns, they chose the jagged look instead of the rounded one. Just one hand up, a little less detailed than mine, I would say. And then the colors are a little different, but like the main main look of it is the same. Which, now looking at all of it together, I want to say when I compared the Ka one, my colors were much brighter than the official one too. So I'm noticing that as well, is that I tend to go for a brighter look than anything, which I typically do in all of my art, not just in these concepts. But looking at my design versus the official design, they went for a much darker and muted color, where mine is more bright. So probably less accurate just in general for that. But I don't really do shading all that much, or like there's not that much texture, so I choose one color for that entire cloth. It ends up being a little bit brighter than what it looked like in the movie. But the movie is super dark too, so I thought if you're taking the darkness from the movie out, then it'll be a little bit brighter. But other than that, this picture I think is a great way to see all the comparisons here from the movie and how we did it. So again, if you look at the one in the middle between them, the horns are very clearly rounded like the ones on my design. But the ones on the top are mostly, well, the middle ones look like they're rounded, the ones on the sides are jagged. Then for the face, some of them are a little less wrinkly. The ones where they get a little bit more close up, like the first top left corner, looks really similar to how the official one ended up turning out. So yeah, it's really hard to judge. I really like the two-hand gesture that I came up with. He almost looks like bored and nonchalant standing there in the official one, and I like the posing of mine. He seems a little bit more in action, a little more creepy maybe. But also in the official thing that they're doing with him, his moveset doesn't really revolve around him doing anything, so maybe that's a little bit more accurate to his moveset. He's kind of just standing there the whole time. But I think that picture in the middle of them really captures what I was going for. With both his hands up, he's got a much more intimidating look to him. They're both fairly similar, honestly. Just the details kind of change a little bit. So I really think it's kind of a toss-up. Some people may prefer mine, and some people may prefer the official one. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I honestly am having a hard time deciding if I like mine better than theirs. Again, I like some things about mine better, like the posing, but I think the face maybe they captured a little bit better on theirs. And of course the detailing, like the fur and the clothing is much more diverse than my one color that I chose for his hood and everything. So yeah, like I said, let me know what you guys think, but that was my opinion on the design. Let's go to the skills. Let's start out just by reading through what they gave, and then I will also add in anything that I suggested for skills that they didn't do anything with. So the Cauldron-born one, or he summons a Cauldron-born soldier from the Black Cauldron, and each one has a certain amount of HP and has their own basic attack and everything. And I pretty much predicted that spot on. Not only did I say that the Black Cauldron would be on screen, I kind of said it would have its own, like it might have a health bar, or like it might have a mind of its own or something, but I don't know if that's the case. I think it's just going to also appear with the Horn King. And then, yeah, for the, I said that it would raise the dead, and then it would have its own health and attack, which is almost accurate, almost 100% accurate to the Cauldron-born skill. So it was the most obvious thing, really, for the Horn King to have. So I'm not going to give myself too much credit for that, I guess. Moving on to the next one, the Wicked Cackle. He cackles, scaring all enemies for a few seconds and applying stacks of fatigue. I don't know. When I'm doing the concepts, it feels a little lazy to just say, okay, he laughs and he gets a buff. For the Horn King, maybe it's a little bit more fair because he doesn't do a lot, but I didn't have anything about that. So let's move on to Arise. Green mist comes out of the Black Cauldron, healing all Horn King soldiers, and also grants fantastic damage. Here's what I said. I got the green mist part exactly, but what I suggested was that it would like poison the enemies. But I suppose the actuality of it is that it's kind of raising the dead. So to actually just heal your allies is, I think, a lot smarter than just poisoning the enemies. So I prefer what they came up with to mine, but again, very similar. Then the Dark and Powerful soldiers deal bonus fantastic damage with the basic attacks for each other ally soldier on the battlefield. I don't know if there's a way I could really predict something like that. I kind of wish this would be replaced with something else that the Horn King will do, and I came up with a few things for that, so I'll talk about that after we get through all of these. Last one is just a red skill, which is always just boosting stuff, but it looks like he might raise his hands up, which is a very iconic scene from the movie, so that's nice too. I'll now just quickly try to go through everything that I said. He grabs the main character in the movie and throws them across towards the climax of the movie. So I said he would just grab an enemy and throw them, just giving him something to do specifically. Like I said, some of his moves are just him having other people do stuff for him, which is very accurate to his character, but it would have been nice to have something for him to do. I also said maybe the Creeper Henchman would show up, which is just not here, and I think that's completely fair to not include him, especially if you already have the Raising Dead, the soldiers on the battlefield, so not a big deal. And then I guess that's it. The other three that I suggested were all part of his moveset, so I think that's pretty cool. Again, there's not a lot for the Horn King to actually do, so it wasn't too hard to get things pretty similar to how they got things, because there isn't a lot to take from. So not all that impressive. Again, I think it's lacking a little bit because the Horn King isn't doing anything. Just one move where he attacks somebody directly, I think, would have helped. But you might think differently about that. I'd love to hear what you think. The friendships. The official ones are Disgust and Shan Yu. I think for a villain, Shan Yu is not the best choice. I really, really would have loved to see the Evil Queen in him, and I think it's such a missed opportunity to not have the Evil Queen be paired up with him. I mean, his name is the Horn King, and her name is the Evil Queen. How perfect is that? And like, I saw some art where they're like paired up together as like a couple, and it's like, it makes sense. It completely makes sense. So it would have been fun to see them interact, just completely pure beings of evil. Like, they have no what is the word? They're just completely evil beyond anything else. So it's a little bit more interesting than Shan Yu, I think, where Shan Yu kind of has some redeeming qualities, or like he has a reason for what he's doing. And it's a little less evil than the Horn King, but... And then Disgust is just a crazy one. I said in the video, I have a quote. I said, I don't know what kind of hero he'd interact with, but apparently they decided Disgust would be that kind of hero. I don't know if I mentioned this yet. The other character that I suggested for a friend was Hades, just because I kind of had a similar vibe, I thought. He almost reminds me of a devil or something, but... Yeah, I think the Evil Queen is a really good suggestion. Hades is a take it or leave it, but I think Disgust is still a really funny interaction, which is maybe better than just the straightforward one. But maybe they should have done Disgust and Evil Queen. But anyways, for my closing thoughts, I've gone on for a long time, I feel like. So, like I said before, I think you could go either way. They're both pretty good. I'm always lacking a little on detail compared to theirs. The color is a little bit more brighter, which you may prefer or you may dislike. I suppose in terms of the Black Cauldron itself, it makes more sense to be a bit more muted, but I don't know. That pose is really the thing that makes me lean towards my design. I think it's just visually more interesting than just having him hold the one hand up. The two hands is really so much more somehow. And his face, he almost just looks bored, where mine is kind of more of an interesting expression, kind of. But the detailing in the face is certainly lacking, and I think a mixture of our faces would certainly have made the best results. But they're both really nice. I'm happy that I can stand up at all to the official one. I didn't think I really did for my Ka one, even though some people said they liked it, but they might have just been being nice. But yeah, it's really fun to get to compare these. I hope we get to do another one, yada yada yada. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you soon. Goodbye.